Do 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 do. Da 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 da. Yeah, I think you are. You're live. You're definitely live because I can see me and everything's good. Oh, I like the Freddy background too. That's great. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There. That should fix that. All right. That's why I was okay. So now I'm gonna need
Okay.
to. Can hear
Can
Dave though.
can
Okay.
everybody hear Cecil now?
Yeah. They should be able to hear me now. I know what was wrong there. So
Mm.
just once again, real quick, we have Jonathan Nichols, Corey Dean, Robert Duell was here, Jason Nike, Savannah Heffron is here. Don't get down about what random people on
Wait,
the internet say about you.
you're
Cecil, you're
okay.
silent.
Yeah. No. You're on. You're on.
Okay. All right.
You're on.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Wences is here. Can hear David Cecil sound there. Okay, cool. Yeah, my comments are a little bit behind, and Nathan Oswald is here as well. So, hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird, and I am joined once again here by Mr. Dave McRae. Thank you for joining me, Dave.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Cecil. Always great to talk shop and Freddy Krueger and Dylan's New Nightmare and it's all the juicy stuff, all the juicy, exciting stuff on the horizon.
Indeed, and people haven't necessarily had a chance to, get an update in a bit just because of all the craziness that's been going on.
That's right.
So that's what we're here for. We're going to kind of try and give everyone an update as to what's going on with Dylan's New Nightmare, how far along everything is, and then we'll be here for a Q&A at the end. We can do obviously Q&A about the production or about the movie or about other stuff because there's been a lot popping off recently.
Mm.
Well, first off, excuse me, good gracious. Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm
Yeah?
doing okay. I've been busy. It's been busy. It's been busy the last, like that's the thing when you although the COVID-19 thing is happening and obviously but it's still been I mean, like yourself, I mean, you're working behind the scenes on Dylan's New Nightmare, trying to get that up and going, and then of course I'm doing sort of the same thing with It's Me, Billy. We're in the final stages of finalizing our Indiegogo campaign, which we were going to launch this past month, but couldn't do it obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on that, fine tuning, making adjustments, getting a little tiny little teaser all set. It's nothing major, nothing huge, not like yours, but just a little bit, just a little something to whet the appetite,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that's a lot of hard work, as you know. So yeah, just been busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, I get how that goes, and it's funny. Like, I thought I had most of the stuff prepared for the film, and then we had all this time, and I started to just try and clean up the last couple things, and it's like, oh damn, there's actually more that I can get done. Like we're actually
Mm.
one of the things that we're doing for the film is we are able to start trying to work on the credit sequence for it. The closing credits, but there's going to be a little bit more to it than the usual closing credits.
Was that what we were talking about
Yes.
with Renee? That whole
Yes,
okay,
yeah, that
all
whole
right,
thing. So yeah,
yeah.
we are able to work on that as well as the title sequence. So that's stuff that we can work on ahead of time because that's going to necessitate a bit of practical effects just in and of itself. So
That's true.
That might make people happy to know, is that even our title sequence has to have practical effects to it. So
It's it's funny. It's the kind of movie that it is, because it's like, it's sometimes, yeah, like it's the kind of character it is, right? Like there are certain things that are so important to, because it's funny. Like as I approach, like I said, as I approach the launch of my own Indiegogo campaign, and it's funny how, I'm thinking about things, and this will be my first Indiegogo campaign, and I start to think, I think about what you've done, and I think about what Vince has done as sort of inspiration and role models, so to speak, as sort of what a successful campaign sort of, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But one of the things that I noticed too is that it's very specific. Like a lot of the things that you are doing are very specific to the character, and like everything you do, whether it's the title sequences or whether it's this, that, and the other. And sometimes I find myself going, gee, I wonder if I should. Then I'm like, no, wait a minute. My film is a completely different sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of think, no, hang on, that's not going to work with that. It's got to be appropriate to this, and you got to think of that. And it's a fascinating journey. Watching you and having watched you over the last almost year now, sort of unroll this thing, and I've learned a lot from you just by watching your execution of it, and watching Vince's execution of his, and it's really cool. You know what I mean? To be able to learn from each other, and because a rising tide raises all ships, right? So it's that kind of thing where it's so cool to watch you guys, because it was my first production meeting sort of table read right. On Monday, and you guys had already been there before, and I'm kind of sitting there and watching you guys talk shop, throwing things back and forth, and there's a real sort of, like it's a I don't know what the right word is. It's just it's inspiring and it's invigorating, just to kind of feel that stuff. So anyway, I don't want to toot your own horn too much.
No, I appreciate it.
Dave,
yeah, I mean, trust me, my horn isn't taut that much.
I think what it is at the end of the day. And I'll let you speak here in a second. I just want to finish by saying this, is that it's one of the things that I get asked this a lot on my show, which is what are some of, or is the, thing you are looking forward to the most when it comes to doing Dylan's new Nightmare, or It's Me, Billy, or what have you. And I said this to you, and I say the same thing to them. And I have to say it again. I think at the end of the day, it is just so awesome. I cannot you can't overstate or understate this at all. I can't emphasize this enough. It is so inspiring and so fun and I guess just inspiring to be in the environment of creative people all working towards one vision and one goal, and just feeding off of each other, you know what I mean? And just it's just great. I felt that way when I hired my actors and talked to them on the phone, and they're so excited, and we're talking, I'm excited, they're excited, and then talking, and then it's funny, I left a meeting I had, I was on the phone with an actor the day that we were having our table read for Dylan's new Nightmare. And so that afternoon I was talking to somebody who we had hired, and I was talking to them, and it's like, yeah, this is great and stuff, and really, and then I go from that into a completely different project, to yours, and we're like talking. This is great. It was like double whammy. It was like crack and cocaine all in one afternoon. It was just great. I just love the creative process. And that's just, it's so much fun.
No, and that's it's the same as me too. I mean, it's feeding off of collective creative energy, especially when everyone is really on board and like game to try and make it as cool as possible. And the fact that everyone sees, the possibilities of what Dylan can be, and
100%.
and yeah, I'm gonna get to the table read as a part of the update, because I have updates, and then as I'm gonna give the updates, I want to get your opinion on a lot of it as well.
Sure.
But yeah, because I want to see, because the script changed a little bit between the last time we all talked and saw each other in person and when we did the table read, because
that's correct.
The rest, Vince, Renee, Miko and I had a bunch of sessions, so we'll get into that as we go. But I think the place to start is, how has the movie been affected by COVID and the coronavirus? Obviously, what we had to do is we had an initial shoot date scheduled for this month. Actually, now that we're in May, we were only about 3 weeks out from shooting the movie. Were we to still have that schedule? But with the coronavirus, obviously, here in Arizona, it's not going to be, our stay-at-home order is in effect at least until the 15th as of right now. So it's just, there would have been no way for us to push forward with the movie, because who knows what's going to be the deal with travel? Who knows what's going to be the deal with everyone, all the other states, stay-at-home order, because we had people coming in from a few other states. And so, rather than risk any one person not be able to still make it as a part of the production, we're just going to hold off. And the current plan, what we told everyone, well, I guess I'll get to the timing of it, but what we're waiting for is the all clear, essentially. Once we get the all clear, we're going to have a certain period of time, and then we're going to have the primary production dates, which, after talking with everyone, I think we may actually go one day longer than we initially had planned. So that's kind of nice. Because of this situation, we're going to have one extra day that everyone's on board for, to make sure we do. Because in this process, we've actually added a couple of other little gags that weren't originally in the script. And so now we're amping up the production a little bit, just making sure we have enough time to do these things. And so that's how it's funny. The virus has kept us from our original production window, but I think ultimately it's going to make the production a lot stronger than it originally was. So that's what we're waiting on, is the all clear. When everyone is like good to go back to all the states, not just our states, but once everyone is good to go, that means I think that everyone will be comfortable enough to come back and everything like that and join up to do the production. And we probably will still have to adhere to some form of social distancing, just to make sure, and not test the waters, not tempt fate, so to speak. But
Nora will be tossing the makeup onto my face from a distance.
Exactly. Yeah. We're gonna practice with you guys, like tossing ping pong balls into your mouth for a while.
100%.
Got to get the placement right. That's
right. That's right. That's right.
But yeah. So that's how the virus has affected it. It's not going to affect anything except for the time frame. We were hoping to deliver all of our perks by the end of the year, obviously. But if the film is delayed and we can't actually produce Blu-rays by the time we said, as a result of that, there's not much we can do. Also, our Rexes that we were going to have produced for the campaign, they're all going to be made in China. And right now, all of that is pretty delayed. And so that's going to take a while to get those. But that's how the current situation in the coronavirus has affected the production. Now, that doesn't mean that the production hasn't been moving forward in any way, shape, or form, because it definitely has, as we've been alluding to here. What's up, Mikey? Good to see you. Bloody Legends, World the Fiend. Hi, how are you? The next thing I want to get to is, the other delays that have resulted from it, and that is both our makeup effects and our costuming. So it's really hard for Nora to continue down the makeup effects route when there aren't a lot of special effects makeup stores open for her to go to get her supplies. So luckily, the time frame that we've set up, once the coronavirus is done, basically what we're planning is, once we've been given the all clear, we're going to aim for 2 months after that point to shoot. So that way, Nora's going to have 2 full solid months with access to everything she needs to make the effects, which, trust me, guys, with what we have planned, you want her to have the time she needs to make it, because we're going to go, there's maybe a couple of CG shots planned, but all it is like phone replacement stuff. It's not gore by any stretch. All of our gore is going to be practical. And so we want to make sure Nora has enough time to gather the resources to really pull everything off. In the meantime, what she does have, which she mentioned during the makeup, or during the read-through rather, is that she has your clay face right now that she's able to work from. So
Perfect.
yeah, that we went out and did that. So now she has that. She said to you quickly, I don't even know if you took notice, but she said, I have your face done. I was looking at it the other day. So she said it really quickly. So she's got your mold.
I didn't even hear her say that.
She said it
Oh,
during the read. Yeah, so she's got your mold ready to go to start working.
Side note, by the way, I did hear from Courtney yesterday.
Oh, good.
And I emailed her back this afternoon.
Yes, because she was needing some further dimensions
Yes, and she got them.
And I guess I don't know if I don't know if
you don't know if you want to reveal
I know,
it.
I don't
I
know. I'm so tempted to reveal, but Courtney is our costumer. So that's the other person I was going to talk about. Courtney obviously can't get what she needs if fabric stores aren't open because, guys, fabric stores, they're not what you might consider essential businesses right now. So they're not open, you know. They don't need people to be able to do their arts and crafts. Oh, I came so close to revealing that. I don't know if I want to reveal that, but it's a question a lot of people have asked. But anyway, Courtney is making some really cool stuff, including some key pieces for Freddy's look. And so some key pieces, which I can't wait to see the marriage of Courtney's work and Nora's work. Because once we have you in Nora's makeup and in Courtney's full costume, I think you're gonna look so dope. I can't wait to see what happens to you. Like I just have a feeling you just strike me as the kind of guy that's gonna just Dave just might disappear until it's all off. You know what I mean?
It's entirely. I'm not going to be one of those. Can you imagine? It's
Daniel
lunchtime. Hey Dave. Yeah. Hey Dave. What? Dave. I don't respond. I'm just totally.
What, bitch?
Yeah. What do you want, bitch?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Everything's bitch. I'm calling. All. Nora's like, hey Dave, like, what do you want, bitch? She's like, hey.
I'm in character.
That's right. No, it's something that I said this to you when we were doing the virtual table read on Monday. I said a couple times actually, and it was true as we were going through it, and I knew that my spots were coming up. And of course, for people who have never experienced a table read, I've experienced a couple of them in my life in terms of voiceover and things like that. And you're firing on probably about 60%, 50%, right? You're just kind of getting a sense of the flow. Does it flow? Do things make sense? Are there typos? Are there lines that are awkward? Is there something that needs, tweaking? So the performances are kind of, you're just kind of getting through it. You're adding a little bit of character to it, but you're feeling the lines out. You're feeling the flow out. Yeah. So what's interesting is that when so of course we're all sort of doing that, and but I found that when I knew my part was coming up, I couldn't help but feel like I wanted to move my body. I wanted to because Freddy is such a, more so than Michael, more so than Jason, Leatherface, Freddy, and thanks to Robert, Englund, there's a physicality to Freddy. There's a way he moves. There's the way he turns his head, like he's got that, that kind of turn, or the way he drops that, that gunslinger kind of holster kind of thing down with his shoulder, and he's got there's so many things that I want to do that I can't do sitting in the chair. You know what I mean?
I need to get a new movement test from you straight up. Like I want to have you do all of that shit, and let's work on that, because I don't think there's going to need to be much work on my part directing you to be Freddy. That's the nice thing about bringing you on. All of that, and that when Freddy's facing this way, his head snaps first, right? And then his body does. That's right. That's right. That's why you're helping to make my job easier.
Well, stuff. People don't. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't know this, but I mean, and I think I speak for quite a few people, and there's a reason for this, of course. But Freddy Krueger was the first sort of horror villain that I got into. And I think a lot of people our age, because we're, about the same age, I think a lot of people our age who grew up as young kids through the 1980s, it was Freddy. It was Freddy and Jason, but we've talked about this before, because Michael, he was gone after 1981's Halloween 2, and he didn't resurface again until 1988. So in that time, it was Freddy and Jason, Jason and Freddy, Freddy and Jason, Jason and Freddy. So when we got to an age of 6, 7, 8, it was still Freddy and Jason, Freddy and Jason. And I think Elm Street 2 was the first one I saw, I think. And then I saw the first one. I mean, it might have been back to front, but or in order, I mean, but Freddy was Freddy. I mean, I've told this before. I remember as a young boy, because this is before you could actually buy the gloves, the plastic ones. I got a winter glove and I taped Bic ballpoint pens to the end, which are lethal in and of themselves if you think about it. Just stab somebody with ink, right?
Yeah, the ballpoints.
I didn't have a fedora or anything like that, so I had this weird little top hat. And I put this, I'm like 6, right? So I put this top hat on and I'm walking on out on the street. It's like 1985. There I am out on the street with, I mean, the neighbors must be thinking, what the hell is that child? The child's a lethal weapon. Jesus Christ, get in here, Johnny. Get in here. Get away from that kid.
You're like, no, I'm just predicting the future.
I'm just pretending. But I remember as a kid, I remember this season. This is fascinating. I remember because that resonated with me so much. That scene in part 2 where the parent comes out, shoots the shotgun, hits the table, and Freddy's just like that with the flames and the I've talked about that on my channel. I love that shot. I love the way he looks, sunken eyes, the hook nose. And I remember as a young boy walking along the street in front of my house. This is the 80s, folks. Walking along the street, and my friend Johnny, was his name. He's playing whoever he's playing, and I'm there, and I'm doing this. I'm like 6 years old, and I'm doing this kind of turn thing as I'm walking along. So I've always known that I've always known there's a physicality to the character, and I am so looking forward to putting that on and putting the makeup on and the fedora on and the glove and really sort of, feeling the makeup is what's going to really allow me as the actor to lose myself into the role, because you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't see Dave McRae. You see Freddy Krueger. And that's just awesome.
See, and the artist in me, the poet in me thinks that you're going to be in that makeup room and Nora's going to finish and you're going to ask for a moment to yourself. And you're going to look in the mirror of you as Freddy, and you're just going to see that little kid with the ballpoint pens on his hand.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
wild.
Artistic shit right there. I love it.
Oh, yeah. It is. And that's, this is just, it's I rose to prominence on my YouTube channel talking about Halloween, but I was a Freddy fan long before, and I wouldn't say long before, but I was a Freddy fan before Halloween because, as I said, Halloween wasn't really... it was a difficult movie to find. It would only kind of air on TV at Halloween time. It was more obscure than the Freddy and the Jasons of the decade. Of course, Halloween sort of took over when it got into the mid-90s because of H2O, but certainly there were a lot of young boys. And I remember there was a kid in my class named Jaime Hunt. Jamie, if you're watching, how you doing? I haven't seen him in like 35 years. Okay. He was in my class, and he was the one that had everything. He had the Freddy glove and the hat, and we were talking about Freddy. And I remember this one time he was convinced that Jason Voorhees' last name was Vanterhees, and we got into this argument. I was like, no, it's Voorhees. It's Vanterhees. It's Voorhees. I mean, I've been a horror nut since 85. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. I mean, I hear you. I'm really looking forward to... And seeing the process, too. I mean, having somebody like Nora's caliber to sit there in the chair with her and her team and to watch them, watch the transformation. I mean, watch the evolution of this character, going through the process of exactly what Robert Englund would have gone through and going through that same sort of process of prosthetics, excuse me, and really sort of, I mean, I don't think it's been done. I mean, it's been done. There are a lot of cosplayers that can do it, but I don't think it's been done in this way for a fan film, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it, and I think we can drop a little bit of a hint to Freddy's look. So if I were to say,
he's dropping a hint.
I'm gonna drop a hint. Occasionally in this
God.
stream, I'm planning to drop a couple of hints for people. So
Oh,
this will be the first big one. So when I say that we are trying to come up with our own Freddy look, that is very true. Our Freddy is going to look more unique than a lot of the Freddys that you saw, because a lot of the ones you saw were just subtle variations on the previous iteration.
Right.
But we do have what 9 films to draw from to say it's going to be this, maybe mixed with this. 8 or 9 films to draw from. That does not mean that it's only 8 or 9 looks of Freddy to draw from. But I'm going to give you one piece of what I would call a 3-piece Freddy puzzle for this. I think there are 3 looks of Freddy that we're going to be trying to come forth with. One is kind of obvious if you think about it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. The other one is the Nightmare 2 Freddy. That specific Freddy that you just referred to, with the sunken eyes and the hooked nose, that I always thought was the scariest looking Freddy of all of them. So I definitely want to bring those elements into our Freddy. And then there's a third version, one of the other Freddys that we've seen before. And I'm not saying whether it's necessarily in one of the movies or possibly even a look that we saw in any number of the comics, which I've reviewed all of the Freddy comics on the channel if you're interested. But it's going to be a mixture of 3 different looks, but it's going to be wholly our own. That's going to make sense within the continuity of what we're doing and what we're sequelizing. That's about as far as I'm going to take it hint-wise.
Because Nora's even going as far. I mean, I remember when we were there. When I was getting the cast done, she even took a cast of my teeth.
Yes.
So she's even making, fake, raunchy old man teeth.
I have very specific ideas for what I want your teeth to look like. And it's not going to be just a shark's teeth. It's not going to be shark's teeth or anything. But it's not going to be quite the normal Freddy mouth either. So, we'll. It's going to be interesting. If what I have in my mind comes true, yes, it's going to be pretty crazy. So, continuing from there, I would say that next is the perk generation. So I did post about this stream to all of the backers of the campaign. I sent out an update for everyone to come to this stream. So regarding the perks, here's the situation. There's a very limited number of perks that we can actually do before the movie's even made. The pins, which the pins are done, and I should actually let me grab them real quick. Dave, take over for 2 shakes.
Sure. Yeah. Let me go back to here. Let's see what some people are saying in the chat room. Some people are saying, Tiana, is it Tiona Week Fall? I can't wait. Freddy franchise is my favorite. Amazing. Yeah.
All right.
He's hugely popular, no doubt about that. One of the best. Legend.
So there's
talking about you, Cecil.
There's pins. I doubt that, but there's pins, and the pins we got. The pins we were able to order and get, although they had a bit of a delay as well. So these are just a couple of the perks that people had access to, and these came. And then the t-shirts we could also order. So the t-shirt order has gone in. That took a while to get all of the pertinent backers, all of their correct sizes. I had to wait to get like 40 people's specific t-shirt sizes. So that took a while. But now that I have that, the t-shirt order is in. And then the posters. I have all of the posters here as well. So those are pretty much the only 3 items, because the album, the vinyl, we're still waiting on the second song to be completed before we can send off for the vinyl. And then Rex, obviously, we're still having the Chinese printer issues for the Rexes. That'll happen eventually. It's just a matter of how quickly they'll get to it after all of this stuff goes down. And then everything else is pretty much determined by the movie itself. Once the movie's done, we can do Blu-rays and VHSs and soundtracks and digital downloads and all the rest of the stuff. As well as for the higher tiers, a couple of the producer perks are actually going to get some of the gore effects from the movie. So they're going to
that's
actually
cool.
have a little piece of it. Yeah. So
That's cool. That's awesome.
yeah, they're going to have something fun they can hang up if they really want. But let me show you guys the pins real quick. So I'm going to go.
I remember when you posted no, I think you sent a picture to me.
Well, I posted them. I
maybe a
posted them
couple
on
weeks ago,
Instagram
whatever.
too. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you
post
posted
them
on Instagram. Okay,
yeah.
cool. So that's where I saw them. Yeah.
So
They look cool.
Two different pins with 4 colors each.
What's the company again that does these pins?
Creative Terror pins, I believe.
Creative Terror pins. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
All right.
because you should look into it. So definitely get yourself a phone for a fucking pin for sure. So you won't be able to see this as well as they will, Dave, but this is the first Ruxpin, and it's green. And actually, it might not be the easiest to see through the plastic, so I'll show you guys what it looks like. There we go. So that's the green Ruxpin there, Dave. You should be able to see it there as well.
Yeah,
on your camera.
that looks awesome.
So that's the green one right there, and then we had different versions of it. We had a sort of red rage version right there. So
yeah,
we had
all
that
red. I love
right
it.
that. And then we also had the retro version, which is a throwback to the colors that were used in the Nightmare on Elm Street Nintendo game, the orange.
Ah, yes.
There. So we got the orange Rexes right there. And then finally, we got the... Julian, we have an update. Miko was a part of the table read, so we'll go through what Miko thinks about the delay and everything. He understands. Like, obviously, he doesn't want to get anyone...
Of course.
But then this is sort of a synthwave version of the pins. So that's the synthwave Rex. And then the other pin is, of course, kind of the logo that we've gone with, which is our Freddy here. This was the Freddy from the teaser, so it's not technically Dave represented right here, but it is at the same time Dave represented here. And then this is this is Dave before he was technically in the suit. This is the retro version, the orange. Yep, that's the orange right there. And then the synthwave version of this one came out great as well, which is the blue and the purple. Came out awesome. And then the other really cool one that came out dope as hell is a black and white with red accents.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, the black and white with the red accents came out super dope. So all of these pins are going to be distributed to the people that backed, and I actually ordered a few extras. So there's going to be some extras I can try and hook people up with at the actual production and stuff. But nonetheless, the pins came out great. So that's the deal with the perks. We got as many of the perks made as we possibly could that are still, actually producible considering the virus situation. But that's what's going on with the perks. So that covers that. Now, the next thing is the script progression, which this is where we can have a little bit of fun. So, Dave, what we did before we actually had this table read is we had 4 different script sessions. The first one was Miko, Vince, and I. We all got together via Skype, and we went through the first 7 pages of the script. We read through it, and then we made alterations and tried to make it stronger. And then for the next 3 sessions, we were joined by Renee, who is our cinematographer, DOP. And he actually, it was smart to bring him on because he's also a producer of the film. And as the camera op, he has, some things that he can suggest and things like that. So we brought him on for the next 3 sessions. And so for the next session, we did like the next 6 pages, then the next 6 pages, then the final 6 pages. So across 4 different sessions, and we took about 2 hours per session. So each 6 pages got about 2 hours worth of work, where we would read through the pages straight through, just like not stopping. And then we'd go through all of the pages, those same pages, with a fine-tooth comb. What can we make better? What can we make stronger? What is superfluous? What's extraneous dialogue, or not extraneous dialogue, but what's extraneous action? I was very verbose in my description of the action. And it didn't need to be such. So there were some changes. There were some new things added, a couple of new gags, as I mentioned. There's a couple of new effects that we're going to need to do as a result of these script meetings, but it's going to make for a stronger film. That's the nice thing about these sessions, and that's what I wanted to get your opinion on. Each session, and it's like, some people would look at me as the writer director and be like, really? You want to change that much over the course of sessions? And it's like, here's the thing. We didn't change so much that it changed the essence of the movie by any stretch. The essence of the movie is still there, and all of the beats from the original script are still there. 80% of the dialogue from the original script is still there, but things have been changed and amped up a little bit, and now every scene has a purpose. I kind of skated by with a couple of scenes being more transitional scenes in the original script, but now even those transitional scenes have important stuff that come into play throughout the whole process. So right. What's interesting is, yes, and each time at the end of each meeting, Vince and Miko and Renee were like, are we all good? Cecil, you good with everything? And I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm good. Like, I'm not so attached to my own, I don't sniff my own farts so much that I'm like, what I have is the best and nothing's better. You know what I mean? Great. Like, I'm not that kind of writer. I'm a very collaborative filmmaker. I'm a very collaborative creator. I was never a person that hated group projects in school. Like, I enjoy the collaborative creative process if everyone is on board, if everyone's heart is into it, which goes towards your point from earlier. Yeah. A film team is only as good as its weakest link. It's only as strong as its weakest link, just like anything. Yeah. If you have one person that's heart is not in it, that's half-assing, that's just kind of, oh, okay, and you got to tell them to do this and tell them to do that, get them off, get them out of there. You don't want that. You want a bunch of self-motivated people that are into what they're doing, that are going to really help elevate the project. And
that's right.
Sitting down to do these script revisions with these guys, I mean, obviously we had to have Miko on board because it's his story. He originated the character of Dylan, and I wanted him to have as much input on Dylan as he possibly could. And he pitched lines and he pitched things, and it was totally fun. And every time afterwards, he was like, oh, this was great. I really had a good time with that. Like, he hasn't been in the acting scene for a while. He had retired, and so we're dragging him back in, but every new thing that we do with him, he seems to get more excited about the project, and that's just awesome. And because he was excited to begin with the script, and now where the script's at, like, everyone is super excited. Vince is super pumped. Renee is super pumped. I'm super pumped. And what I wanted to get your opinion on is so we did that for 4 Mondays running, basically, and then the 5th Monday was our first big read-through of the new version of the script, including you and Nora, as well as the other 4 people involved. So what I wanted to ask you about is, what did you think of that? Like, how did you feel about the scripts that had changed? Did you feel it's for the better? Did you and like take it separate from the table read itself, because I want to talk about the table read in its own thing. Talk about the script. Take it from the script angle. Like, do you see the differences? Do you see the importance of having that sort of multiple step? Again, 2 hours for every 6 pages, because you weren't in those meetings, so that's how it went, and that's how we got to where we were in the table read. So now I'm going to shut up, and now I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing I noticed immediately was and I didn't think there was a lot of fat to trim when I first read the draft that you first sent me, 6 to 8 months ago. I thought that was pretty lean and mean. But when I read this updated version, there was a definite notice. I noticed that it was even leaner, and leaner not in a sense of, people have to understand, it's not leaner in a sense of that you've removed anything. You've just, it's like a sculpture, right? You've refined it. you've like you said, the essence is still there, but you've refined it. And some of the dialogue now, maybe, instead of taking, 4 back and forths to say it, now it's only 2 back and forths, or if there's maybe if it was this long, now it's that long. The same thing is still being said. The same sequence of events are still there, but it does feel tighter. And that was one thing that I did notice. And a couple of the extra things that you had added that I didn't know about, that were not in that first script that you sent me, was a nice touch. Like, at the beginning and was good.
Something that happens when you step near a bed or step away from a bed. That was new
too. Yeah, that could be taken a few different ways. But
a lot of bed action in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of bed action.
No, but we're actually bringing something in to the Nightmare series that has never been there before, but makes 100% sense for a character to have had it involved at some point. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
There was a whole Stephen King movie directly about this particular thing. So, without giving anything away, I think because there's like 50 Stephen King movies, so I don't think that gives anything away. But you know what I'm referring to, obviously.
I know what you're referring to. No, for sure. But yeah, no, it's just it definitely. Well, yeah, I noticed that although I didn't think there was a lot of fat to trim, I still don't think you trimmed a lot of fat. I think what you did was you just refined it, and it just seems a little more polished.
I think we resculptured the fat. I think we turned the fat into more muscle. Yeah, we didn't. That's right. We went from about 22 pages to 21 pages when all was said and done. So we only lost a page, but quite frankly, it was a page in action description. It was like, this person goes over here and then starts to do this, as opposed to this person goes here and does this. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bunch of extraneous words that I was using, and Vince is the one that actually really helped me whittle that stuff down. And now we're at 3/4 of the way through the 21st page instead of halfway through the 22nd page, which is going to make things a little bit easier to shoot without sacrificing quality. And he kind of moved a couple of action beats to sort of help transition the scenes a little bit easier too. So all in all, working together with everyone, it just made the script so much better than it even was. Like, I thought the script was good enough to it was the honey, it lured everyone into the project. And then these meetings are what made the script now something that I'm really proud to make into a Nightmare fan film. Like, before, I would have been happy that the script would have been made it. Now I'm going to be truly proud that the script is going to be made into it. You know what I mean?
And who knows what'll happen. I mean, it's definitely it's a solid script, and yeah, I don't want to say too much, but yeah.
Now, regarding the table reads, so yes, this past Monday, we had everyone. We had Vince, we had Renee, we had Miko, we had Dave, and we had Nora, all on to do a full read through of the whole 22-page at the time script. And so I assigned everyone characters, and Dave got to play as Freddy, and obviously Miko was Dylan through the whole thing. Oh, forgive me.
That's all right.
And everything just went really well. It was, everyone called in via Skype, and it was a good time. And then we got through the script, and then we talked about little changes we might try and make here and there, little things we're going to try and do. How much time does Nora need, and all of that. So what was that like for you? I mean, obviously you haven't quite gotten to that point for It's Me, Billy yet, but, what was your take on it? How did you enjoy it? I know you kind of briefly touched on it earlier, just kind of being a bit of a wallflower about the situation, but I'm curious.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've had a couple of table reads in my life, and they've actually been, but I've never had a virtual one, so that's been kind of cool. And I like the process because I like being able to feel the, get your footing and feel sort of it's like when you do animation in voiceover. there's a lot of animation that's done where you're actually recording separately from the other actors. And then there are some animation that you do, or even a radio ad or a TV ad, if they have a couple of people in the spot. Sometimes you do record separately, sometimes you record together. And it's always great to be able to record together, obviously, because you feed off of each other's energy, you feed off each other, So a table read is great for that. And even though it was virtual, that's what we were doing. And it was just also fun to reconnect with everybody again. I mean, Nora's a hoot, man. She's got such a great sense of humor, and she's not a bad little actor. Let me just say that.
No, that's true. That's true.
She's pretty good. I think we could throw her in somewhere.
Every time I assigned her a female, she was like, "Oh, of course!" Like she's really funny.
Yeah, but she was good.
She was.
She was fun. She's great. So. Yeah, I liked it. I liked watching Miko's process, and of course, just the it just was a great first kind of getting your footing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed it. I thought everybody did a good job, and there was a nice exchange of ideas back and forth, and how to approach certain things, and talking about Freddie and Dylan and how that relationship's going to build, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. Yep.
And now are there, I'm curious, because you mentioned earlier that you're taking things and trying to apply them a little bit every now and again, what kind of things are you seeing that you maybe hadn't considered or whatever? Because it's funny, I talked to Vince the other day. I'm like, it's cool. I just messaged him. I was like, hey, I really appreciate the guidance and everything, man. It matters a great deal, and it's only going to make the project amazing. So I really appreciate it. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'm like, it's funny because I actually have some people kind of looking to me for a bit of the guidance that you're giving me now. And I'm like, not quite there yet, but I'm working on it. And he just kind of laughed a little bit. I'm like, but helping each other try and be as good as we can possibly be, especially those of us that are truly passionate about it. That's what you and I seem to keep coming back to. It's got to be people that are really, really passionate and really into it, and are only there to try and elevate rather than what can I get out of it kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know. It was just a lot of fun to see. But yeah, what about that? Do you have anything in particular?
It's interesting because I find myself when I read the script, it's an interesting dichotomy because I'm naturally, as an independent filmmaker myself, and as somebody who's in very close to the end of development, but will and then moving into pre-production for It's Me Billy, but there's a very sort of when I read your script, I am seeing it through a couple of different lenses, right? I'm seeing it through the lens of you as the writer, and shots and mood, and that shot would be great and things like that. So when I think of Freddie, that's what I tend to think of when I read the script. I'm thinking it's instinctual. I think about all that, even though that's not what I have nothing to do with that. That's not, I have nothing to, that's not my area. I'm not going to be shooting the movie. I'm not going to be directing the movie, but I can't help but sort of think of that and imagine that, which is natural, I think, for anybody when they're reading, a script. So that definitely comes to my mind is the potential. The potential to showcase Freddie in a way that will blow people away. I think it was, although it certainly costs a lot more money, I think it was a ingenious move on your part to hire somebody like Nora to do prosthetics for makeup and to do Freddie that way. And we've talked about this. There's nothing wrong with the silicone masks. I mean, they are unbelievably accurate and fantastic and perfect for cosplaying and perfect for a little fan film or a fan film. I mean, if you know how to light it, whatever. But if you can go that extra step, and I mean, Jesus, I mean, just the idea of being in that, and I don't know what, again, and we'll find out, as we're there on set together, obviously. Our goal is to complete your vision, but just picturing again through the other side of the lens, no pun intended, thinking about sort of, what is this, how are we going to light this? Like, oh man, that's going to be, oh yeah, mood and atmosphere, right?
Right,
like, I'm totally,
sure.
like, I'm just like thinking about how to light something that's going to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I know what he's going to look like, right? Or, ballpark, because I know the goal that you want. And when I think of that Freddy, and I think of the mirror of the couple other, kind of incarnations that you want to match it with to make it your own, kind of like a hybrid of a couple of different looks, I just think, oh man, there's so much potential for people to watch this and go, damn, okay, so this is like, this is legit shit. I mean, the teaser trailer alone looks beautiful, and that's a sliver of what the final product's going to look like. So it's just yeah, I can't help but think of those from those two sides.
Well, and it's exciting too because it's funny, there well, there is gonna be a little bit of CG work, not a lot, and it's not gonna be to do with the gore, but we're gonna have to do some stuff in order to try and make certain things work. But there's gonna be more, you might see more special effecty kind of attempts than you might be anticipating. I don't know, or at least we're gonna try a couple of things to see what we can get away with, and if it works out great, then it's gonna be awesome. If not, then we'll have backup plans, and it'll still be just as fun, just maybe not quite as ambitious. But right now we have a couple of pretty ambitious things that we're gonna try and pull off, and one of them, if we can pull it off, the thing I really want to pull off, then it's gonna result in such a great promo image, that I can't wait to utilize this one. If you know what I'm talking, about. Dave.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I have a few ideas there too that I'll mention to you. It's not in the script, but it could be something that, and it doesn't take away from anything. It's just in that moment.
Sure.
It's very sort of what the character might do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it would make a great still image, that kind of thing. But again, it all depends on what you want. But you can't help it. Like, when you're like, that's the thing too, like, when you're in that makeup and you're in that environment and you're in the environment with all these people and it's like an orgasmic creative, explosion. I mean, you cannot help but just like, and of course, I mean, Cecil, it's funny, let's not forget, folks, he is the director, the writer, obviously the buck stops with him. But the great thing that, and I fancy myself this way as well, at least I'd like to think I am, although I can be a bit stubborn sometimes. But that being said, because everybody has a vision, right? Everybody has a vision. Yep. Everybody has a vision. Yep. But what I like about your approach is that you are open to the exchange of ideas. And at the end of the day, if it's something that's, that's just a little, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. A little bit of that, a little bit of this. You know what? I like that. Okay, let's do it. Let's shoot it. You know what I mean? And I like that because we're all in this to make the project the best it can be. And yeah, I do know what you're talking about, when you do that. And that was what I thought when I read that before even the table read. I was thinking to myself, my God, that would be a great promotional image.
It'd be even cooler if we could get, maybe one claw just underneath the chin. You know what I mean?
Right. You know what I mean?
That'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah.
All right, we may have to try and get that shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Just as a still image, that'll be really fucking neat. All right, cool. So now, I talked about the new time frame and everything. Oh, another thing I want to mention is we haven't necessarily finalized the casting because we are going to be putting an offer out in the relatively near future. We actually got yesterday, Dave, another meeting I had provided perhaps a new inroad to a person that we've been trying to get access to. Not the white.
Say that again.
So not the big white whale, but the other one that we've been toying with. Right. Yeah, I now have a new inroad to that person.
Okay.
So okay. Yeah, I'm going to be making I'm going to be making an adjustment to 2 particular scenes in the script tomorrow, and we'll likely be sending over that official offer soon. Yeah, but hopefully sooner rather than later. But yeah, there's some cool stuff that we can do if we can pull off what we have ideas for you guys. And there's certain things that we might not be able to do until the movie's completely shot, edited, and ready to present. But at that point, we're not going to pass up any opportunity to try and achieve the highest amount of greatness with this project that we possibly can. And again, it is meant to be the first in a multi-part series, maybe 4 or 5 different parts, so that the end product will be an entire feature-length film. But everything is moving along quite nicely in spite of all of the issues that we're dealing with right now. So now, as far as I think that's pretty much all the updates for the production that I have. So now we're going to get into the questions from the audience. If you guys have any questions for us, any Q&A, be it about Dylan's New Nightmare or anything else. Again, I know that there's the whole, AMC and Regal versus Universal situation going on right now. So there's lots to talk about. But if you guys have any specific questions regarding Dylan's New Nightmare, that's ideally what we're here to discuss. So go ahead and ask away. In the meantime, I'm curious for all of you guys, what do you want to see happen in Dylan's New Nightmare? I obviously, it's already written and it's finalized where we're going with it, but I am curious if you guys have ideas. What are you hoping to see out of Dylan's New Nightmare? So that's one question I have for you guys while you're formulating questions for us. Dave, I wanted to ask you, while they're formulating all this stuff, what do you have a more specific update on It's Me, Billy? I know I just saw a post that you posted. Is that your core cast? That 3? Is that your only cast? What's up?
That is the core cast. That is, yes. We've locked our cast. I wanted to do that before. Like, there's a couple of ways you can do an Indiegogo campaign. There's more favorable ways, but I wouldn't say it's an exact science, right? There are some projects, some film projects that look to raise the money first before they turn to casting, which is understandable. And then we decided to do it sort of, I guess, back to front, as opposed to more the traditional way, and sort of lock our cast first before we raise the money. Now, the actors, of course, are not under any illusions. I mean, they know that the idea of doing this obviously falls on whether we can raise the money. But we wanted to sort of be able to lock the cast in place, at least the core group of girls, in place, because it helps to bring authenticity and credibility to the project. So when people see, when the campaign is launched and they see, so they got the cast, that we also locked our DP as well, which is a guy by the name of Greg Bennett, who's a 2-time CSC, Canadian Society of Cinematographer nominee, awards nominee. He's amazing. And Bruce has known him for about 15 years or so, and he's, the real deal. So we've locked him as well, which we thought was good. And it helps just to bring that credibility there. And the 3 leads are Victoria Miro, who will be playing Sam, the granddaughter of Jess Bradford from the original Black Christmas. And then Shelby Handley and Malika Henney, who will be playing Emma and Justine, her 2 best friends. So and they were terrific. I mean, listen, we put out a casting call, and across the 5 roles, because there's 5 roles, we got over 400 submissions, and which is unbelievable.
Damn.
And of course we can't see 400 people, so we had to narrow that down, and we narrowed down to about 20 a person. And there were a lot of people that auditioned that were really good. I mean, they were not the only ones that were really good, but they were the 3 that we believed the most. They were the 3 that did a tremendous job. That I believe that they were speaking the words as if they were their own, and they brought a subtle sort of emotional nuance to some of the lines that were terrific. So I'm really excited for people. I'm excited to see them in action. You know what I mean? So, but we got to raise the money first. We got to raise the money first, of course. But we decided to do it that way because people go to the campaign and like, these guys are serious. Like this isn't just kind of like a half-assed campaign. This is a fully fleshed out campaign that's just needs the money and that's it.
It helps if you've already done a lot of the groundwork for sure. People see you're serious. So
exactly.
Okay, let's see. Nathan Oswald says, I want DNN to have an ambiguous ending. All right, fair enough. Good to know. DMT Infinity, question about Dylan's New Nightmare. Can we please get some insight into one of the dream scenes you have written? Maybe not the entire scene, but just some cool things that happen in it. Well,
Freddy gets nude.
Yeah, and, yep. Freddy starts an OnlyFans account. Dude, okay. Now, just saying that as a joke makes me want
there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes
a little 30-second segment because we're going to be filming one of our scenes. We're going to be filming on a soundstage with a massive green screen wall. Not that we're using it, but it's going to be there. It'd be really funny to just have you do like a little 30-second OnlyFans thing just as Freddy.
Yeah, of course.
Like, hey boys, what are you looking for today?
Hey boys.
Dude, that would capture the gay contingent of the Freddy audience.
Oh my god.
100%.
Oh my god, Robert. Oh, 100%. 100%. Oh yeah, I'd be all over. It'd be all gotta be saying, and there's gotta be
the
a
Nightmare
punt
2
there,
fans
too.
would come out.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And there's got to be some sort of pun, some sort of play on words there. Like, you've got the
Only Freddy's.
The something. Yeah. Only Freddy's. It's the name of the bar.
Yeah.
It's just called Only Freddy's.
Yep. All right, let's see here. What else we got? Okay. So as far as what we can actually say, one of the scenes takes place sort of in a studio setting. Obviously, Miko, his parents, both Heather and Chase in the original movie had to do with Hollywood. So Dylan might be following suit in some way, shape, or form. I'll say that much. I think that's a good little clue I just gave. All right.
I think so.
I would love to see, says Jason Nike, I would love to see Freddy say, "Miss me." I love that scene in New Nightmare. Interesting. Let's see. Savannah says, I want Dylan to see his mom again. I really want to see that. It might be tough. That one might be tough. Heather is very specific and hard to get a hold of, and the thing about Heather right now is I'm sure Hollywood might not be far from knocking on her door to try and reboot or do the Halloween 2018 version of Nightmare on Elm Street. So, but I'd be lying if I didn't say it crossed my mind for scripting purposes. So that's about all I'll say about that. Drecklock, I'd love to see the return of Black and White Super Freddy. Well, that likely won't happen in this movie, but I may or may not be trying to build a cosplay to that effect.
Yeah, I remember you. I remember you talking about that. You look great in that.
I think it'd be fun. I think I have to shift about 50 pounds from here to here. But once I can do that, I think I'll be in good shape and I'll be able to do it. I already have the grayscale glove on the way. So I'm going to slowly put together the actual cosplay because I'd need a black and white version of his sweater and a black and white version of the fedora and the pants and everything. So it's something I'll have to gather over time, but that is a plan of mine. Long Arm Freddy is such an iconic look. Is there a good chance that you would be able to put a practical effect like that? Says Robert Kitzmiller. Next question. The girls ask. No, it's a good question, Robert. It's a good question, and one that may or may not have been considered in a very recent meeting. So it's a consideration, but again, we can't just do everything. Here's the thing about this, and I think this is a great point to make now that I have people actually watching. If the whole film is just homages and nods to the other movies, it's not going to stand on its own. So while yes, there are going to be some of that in this, I can't overload this because again, it's meant to be a 4 or 5 episode series ultimately, but I can't front load the first episode with just a ton of like, here's this from the series, here's this from the series, here's this from the series, here's this from the series. Feel like I'm going to be stoning people with it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, everything. And it's like, it's not going to stand on its own. So I can't do everything, but rest assured, I'm considering it all because I've never really even proclaimed it, but I guess I could be a self-proclaimed Freddy expert because I do know more than anyone I know about the Freddy franchise, and I'm applying it. And even Vince is still surprised at times how much I actually know about the franchise. He talked about it on your stream, actually, with you, where he was like, there was one point where I told Cecil, no, I don't think that would work because there's not really a place for it. And then Cecil explained why it would actually work and how it ties into something else. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. All right, yeah, go ahead then. It makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, well, I have that knowledge. So it's nice to be able to be in that position. So the girl's ass at the beginning of the shower scene is this person's name. I want to see the psychological effect of Freddy on Dylan's mind. Well, I think it's safe to say you're going to get that. There is going to definitely be some psychological aspects of this situation that you're going to see in this film. That's safe to say, don't you think, Dave?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think I'll say that.
Corey Dean, I'd like to see Rex in some way. Well, if you saw him in the trailer, it's a pretty safe bet that he might appear in the film. It may not be quite in the exact same capacity that he was featured in the trailer. The trailer was intended to be something that we used to raise money, but it might not be the exact same situation. But yes, we're looking to try and make use of Rex in a particular way. Ryan Andrew Allen, Dave in costume saying classic lines would be a must-have for a bonus feature. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea.
We can maybe just have you deliver a bunch of the classic lines.
Are we going to be? Now, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Are we going to, while we're shooting the movie, are we keeping what I look like a secret until the movie is released, or are we am I allowed?
No, I think we're going to try
behind the scenes stuff and just like posting them online, or
we'll be shooting behind the scenes stuff, but we're going to have to be careful about you. Yeah, no, I don't want to reveal you before the movie.
Fair enough.
Not your full look, because I really want people to see that for the first time in the movie. Because honestly, all this shit we've been seeing in recent years, like all the Marvel movies and the Batman stuff, where you see it all out of context and in the wrong lighting and not in the movie, it just gives people all these impressions like, oh, that's gonna look like shit, like people start tearing on it before they've actually seen it in context. So no, we'll probably keep you in shadows, but we'll take all the pictures so you'll have them ready for when everything drops. You can start dropping them at that point. But yeah, no, I don't think we want to reveal it on social media ahead of time. Let's see. Mikey Mnemonic, pimping for the simps. I wish either of us was pretty enough to have simps. Let's see. Well, you know what? I'd say Dave has Halloween simps. Likely. You know what Sims are, right?
Maybe. Oh yeah. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I do.
Swifty the gamer, Cecil, will you ever make a Jaws fan film? Oh, that'd be another pie in the sky thing. God. I love Jaws so much. I would absolutely make a Jaws short film if I could.
And you know what, dude? It actually is more. It actually is, because especially when you go and you look at you use the original Jaws as your template, right? Mm-hmm. And as you know, I mean, although it was accidental in some ways, the shark not working actually helped the movie. Mm-hmm. And because, as you know, we were supposed to see the shark earlier and more often. And so you could utilize, if you have really good characters, you could utilize that theater of the mind sort of, music, POV shots, things like that. You'd still have to have a payoff somewhere, of course.
Yeah.
But the crux of your film could be done.
I
Could
agree.
easily be done.
And in fact, one might argue that it should be done that way in order to pull it off
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
I agree.
Exactly.
No, see, this is why you and I get along so well.
There you go.
Let's see. Julian Salgado says, I saw an interview with Heather about 2 months ago, and they mentioned Miko and Freddy, but she didn't mention anything about Dylan's new nightmare. I don't think she's aware. That wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, but I will say this. If she and Robert aren't aware of it yet, if Mad Monster Arizona does happen in 2 months in June, Robert is slated to be a guest, and I am fully planning on getting his signature on the Dylan's New Nightmare glove and telling him what we're doing, because reasons. So that's about all I can say. Let's see. Robert Duell says, do it. Freddy's OnlyFans. # burnt dick. Terrell Sims, I want to see the red and green sweater colors even when Freddy isn't on screen. Okay, fair enough. Yep, that's fair. Right. Let's see. Make Freddy scary again, says Jonathan Nichols.
Make Freddy scary again.
Yeah,
okay?
there you go. Let's see. And okay. Scary Freddy is a real unsettling Freddy. Yep, that's true. That's what we're going for.
Agreed.
Ryan Andrew Allen, Cecil, thoughts on having a cameo in the film? I thought about it, but I don't think I want to do that. I had a cameo in my first short film, and like I thought I wanted to be that guy that would cameo in all of his films, but it just, when people become aware of it, it just feels crowbar-y, and I think it brings people out of the movie. For instance, every goddamn Soska Sisters movie that comes out, they have to crowbar their way into. And every time they appear on screen, I'm like, why are you in this movie? You have nothing to do with it. Literally, in their movie they just put out, Rabid, they cram themselves in as two twins that go and do coke in a bathroom during a party while the main character's in a stall. And I'm like, don't do that. Right. You bring me out of the movie because I know it's you two. I know it's you two. I know you think you're better than you are. And it just is bringing me out of the movie right now. So I don't want to be that guy.
How you do it, if you're, and I totally agree, if you're going to do it,
like I'd be way in the background, not featured.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You do what Hitchcock did, and you are somebody completely innocuous in the background amongst the people walking around, or whatever the case is, or that's how you do it. It's the epitome of what a cameo is. You know what I mean?
That's what I would lean towards if I were to do it. Jesse T, I don't want a remake of the old films. They tried that and it bombed. Yeah, it did. Brian Kane, any chance of a return to the Labyrinth? Well, the Labyrinth was technically destroyed at the end of New Nightmare, if you're talking about his underground, his Freddy's realm. But look, let me just say this. This my story, at least this first part, isn't taking place in that realm. My story is taking place in our world with Dylan, with Freddy now trying to get fancy with escaping. Gamer of Night, I can't wait to see your vision, Cecil. Did you ever think about making Miko's character a fictional version of himself? I thought it would be built off of what Wes Craven made. Yeah, I mean, this obviously isn't Miko. It's not Miko Hughes because he's playing Dylan Porter. There might be some similarities, maybe some parallels with what we do with the character, with what he's done in his life. Because obviously there's some parallels automatically. He was a child actor, making it in Hollywood growing up, or trying, and then eventually stepping away from it. And I would think in that story, his mom was an actress, his dad was a special effects guy in Hollywood. I would imagine that character would want to try and follow in their footsteps and be in Hollywood. So that's kind of where the similarities can meet as far as that goes.
That's right.
Ryan Kinney, Rick and Morty. Yes, I'm wearing my Rick and Morty shirt. I love Rick and Morty. The new episode is Sunday. Woo! Bloody Legends, World of Fiend. How long is the series time limit? Oh, someone else asked, what's the runtime? It's going to be between probably 20. It's definitely going to be between 20 and 30 minutes. Likely between 25 and 30 minutes. I can't say for sure, but that's what it's looking like. How long is the series time limit? The series is, it'll be about the length of a feature-length film, which gives us some leeway. Jason Nike, I don't want a greatest hits Dylan's New Nightmare. Yeah, I do want to see your vision, Cecil. Yeah, see, I can't throw everything in the kitchen sink in this first episode.
No, that's right.
Let's see. Barney the Dinosaur style Rex with a chainsaw. Nope, you're not going to see that, Mikey. All right, let's see. Yeah, spoilers suck. The title of my Jason movie, Nightmare on 13th Street. Okay.
Nightmare on 13th Street.
Will there be a time-lapse makeup application for Dave on the special features? I can say yes, there will be a behind-the-scenes as long as... The plan is yes. I mean, I can't say that nothing's going to come up and we won't be able to do it, but I do have planned to have a couple of behind-the-scenes cameras, and one of them is going to be tasked with filming the entire putting makeup on and likely the taking makeup off, at least for one of the days. Because, yeah, I do think that'll be a great special feature. And especially if it's the first time, getting Dave's, feelings before and after, because it'll be about a 3 to 4 hour process. Nora already confirmed that. So it's gonna be really cool and interesting. I'm trying to make this like I was raised on the heyday of DVD, when like all the special features would show up and I'd get all the special editions and the super extended editions, and I love the special features. So I'm straight cramming. I recorded the second script session with just myself, Miko, Vince, and Renee, and I recorded the table read, which is about an hour and a half as well. So I'm going to try and get those on the discs as well. So yeah, it's going to have a ton of special features depending on how much I can actually fit on the discs. I'll likely be able to fit more on the Blu-ray than I will on the DVD, but at least the DVD people will still get the movie. I want a final fight with Jason, Michael, and Freddy, where the graboid from Tremors eats them all before getting blown up by Brody from Jaws. Then the Earth explodes.
That's a heck of a crossover.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, but good imagination. All right, would love to see you guys, Dave and Vince, doing a stream about all your guys' ideas on Nightmare, Friday, and Halloween. Dave is Halloween, Vince is Friday, and your Nightmare, Cecil. Hey, I'm down for that. I mean, I when Dave and I did the stream on Freddy Krueger not too long ago, I did pitch basically 3 Nightmare ideas, including 2 movies and a series, which I'm still super attached to at least 2 of those pitches. So
yeah, and they were good ideas.
Let's see. I love how Joe Lynch has been in his last 2 movies and the ways he was in them. I'm not sure which movies those would be. TKO 4051, Cecil, will you personally be editing Dylan's New Nightmare, and what importance do you give editing? For me, editing and the score are hugely important. I agree. Editing is hugely important. I'm planning to do first pass on editing, and then I think Renee is gonna producer Dave and Renee are gonna help edit as well. Renee edited the teaser. I wanted to have more involvement in that than I actually had time to because of our time restriction, but I am planning to do the primary editing on this one. But I'm open to creative input because I also know that there's times where I've edited something and producer Dave has come in and cut out, a good number of things, and it's just moved a lot faster and better. So I'm such a stickler. I'm very, you know what I mean?
It's always good to have another eye there.
Exactly. Any demon torso? No demon torso per se.
No.
But there may be some visual cues from that sort of thing. Most influential and least favorite director of all time. I already know Dave's most influential is Spielberg. Yeah, I think I mentioned at one point that my most influential was James Cameron, and then Wes Craven, and then Steven Spielberg. So, will the occurrence of earthquakes be present in the film? Good question, Ryan. Good question. DMT Infinity. Yes, the days of DVDs and HVs were the best. So as far as home movies go, or VHS is what he meant. Yeah, no, I agree. So
I was going to say HVs. What the heck?
Yeah, I didn't know either, but I just read it as it was. Can we get a teaser clip from the table read? I don't have one picked out. I could maybe find a good one, but I don't know. I'd be revealing part of the script. So maybe next update I can do something like that. Can I be in y'all movies? I'm from Detroit. Well, everything's cast, so it's probably not going to be available to do so. Are you going to have Renee and Nora on the show? Yeah, if we can. I mean, we did the table read there. Everyone's busy. It's just I don't know what I discuss with them yet without spoiling things. You know what I mean? I could probably talk to them easier after we film and the movie's out and everything, but
Right.
we could talk a little bit beforehand. I'm certainly not averse to it, but I think I'm caught up on all of the questions here, guys. So if y'all have any other questions, fire them off because we are here and present for it. Dave, is there anything? I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything specifically, and if your answer treads on something you've already talked about, then I apologize. But do you have something in specific that you're most looking forward to about the project?
Most looking forward to, well, like I said, I think it's more of just that being in that environment with everybody and feeding off of each other's creative energy. But outside of that, I think it's probably, putting on the makeup, putting on the once the makeup is done and I'm able to put on the sweater and, all sorts of stuff and put on the hat, put on the glove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that's where, and looking at myself in the mirror, I think that's sort of that first look as Freddy Krueger. And I'm gonna do the best that I can. And like I said, I think it's important for people to remember that, and we've talked about this too. And I talk about it with. It's me, Billy, as well. I mean, not everybody's going to like what you do. Not everybody is going to like what you do. For some people, they're going to love it. Some people are not going to like it at all. Some people are going to, it's just the way we live in the outrage, it's just the way it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is to just be a Freddy Krueger that people believe is Freddy Krueger. You don't have, if you look at me and go, oh my God, that's totally Robert Englund. Well, that's great, but that's not my intention. My intention is not to go out and do a Robert Englund impression.
Right.
My intention is just to be Freddy or some variation of, because this is Demon Freddy, and this is a demon that has been dormant for 25 years, and he's been evolving, he's been changing. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that this Freddy he's Freddy. He's totally Freddy. You can tell he's Freddy. He's Freddy. Look at him. He's Freddy. Sounds like Freddy, looks like Freddy. He's got but there's an evolution to him. You know what I mean? And I think I just think as long as people are, as long as I do justice to the role, I think I'll be happy. Whether someone thinks I'm Robert Englund or not is irrelevant, because I'm not. So it's going to be, when you look at it, it's just like, is that Freddy? And that's like when I looked at the kid that played Han Solo in Solo. I thought he did a tremendous job. He wasn't doing a Harrison Ford impression. He wasn't doing a Han Solo impression, but I totally believed that could have been Han Solo at 22 years old. Totally bought it. Totally bought it.
Yeah.
Totally. He had the same sort of swagger, the same kind of, I had no trouble believing that was Han Solo. And that's a similar sort of idea that I think, I need to take to the character. So I'm really looking forward to that. Just really kind of losing myself in the character when all the makeup is on and everything.
Yeah. We did get a couple of new questions here. Let's see. Best decision in this entire process you've made. I think probably convincing Vince to be a part of it, because he's been a real kind of backbone when I don't think when he first signed on, he just kind of wanted to be the way he put it was the man in the sky, just kind of like available for questions and stuff. But he's actually done quite a bit, and he's helped quite a bit to make the project better. So bringing Vince in, obviously bringing Dave in was a stroke of genius, because he was not the original Freddy for the project. But as I got to know Dave more, and as I saw him do his thing more, and someone made a comment, be careful, don't do a voice in front of Cecil. He may be, silently auditioning you. I think that is making the project all the better as well, bringing Dave in. So those are probably the best two. Jim Dorsey, will you be using the black trench coat? Stay tuned. Corey Dean, how long do you think one episode will take to film roughly? It's going to take between 5 and 6 or 7 days to film this first episode. That's what we have planned. Be nice if Nancy could make an appearance. Yes, it would, wouldn't it? I agree. It would be nice. Let's see. Will we get a monologue from Freddy? I wouldn't say a monologue in this one. No. I mean, if Freddy monologued, I think
you'll have to go to
it'd be too much
Freddy's
Freddy.
bar to hear that.
Yeah, he almost monologued in the trailer. So if you really want that, go to the trailer. He frankly talks more in the trailer than I think he talks in the entirety of the film. But he had to carry the trailer. So
That's true.
let's see, Dave. If audiences really love you as Freddy, do you think other filmmakers will want you to play Freddy in their fan films? You bitch, Dave. Would you cheat on me?
No, I wouldn't. No, that's entirely possible. Yeah, I can totally see that.
If that happens, I would love to know. That would be so great.
Because
it would just mean that we were successful, frankly.
100%. But here's the way I look at it. Like, this is it's what is important to understand here is that, what we're doing with Dylan's New Nightmare is there's a level of authenticity and a level of production value that is being brought to the project that when you watch the movie, you don't feel like you're watching a fan. Like, that's the goal, right? You don't feel like you're watching a fan film. You're watching a movie. I mean, anybody who's looked at what Vince was able to do with Never Hike Alone was tremendous. And when you watch the behind the scenes stuff, I said this to him when I had him on my show. I said one of the things that was very apparent is that it's fan film in category, but it's a movie. You guys made a movie, and you put thousands of dollars into it, and fan films for a long time there was a certain connotation that came with fan films because, and understandably so, they were backyard after school shenanigans with your friends. I mean, that's what fan films were. But, Vince was one of the first, I don't know if he was the very first, but he was certainly one of the first to showcase a high production fan film of what's possible. And I think, and I don't want to speak for all studios, but I think a lot of the studios, as long as it's under a certain budget, as long as it's under a certain time frame, they do like it when it's short. Many studios are sort of seeing, I think, the value in fan films, that they keep their, as long as you're not selling it for, commercial gain. Like we couldn't sell it to now. Netflix or somebody could come along and, if they have the rights from the rights and the rights are taken care of, and that's a different story.
Right.
But we couldn't on our own just go and shop it around to Netflix or Hulu and they buy it. We don't have the right to do that.
Right.
So the studios kind of, as long as there's no long-term, you're not selling it commercially, you're not, reaping huge financial gain from it. You're not, it's not costing you $4.8 million to make. It's not a 90-minute feature that's showcasing at, cons, I mean, a lot of the studios, I believe, are starting to see the value because they are keeping their beloved properties in that pop culture consciousness, keeping them relevant when things are sort of on the down low. And so anyway, the point I'm making is, I can be verbose as well. The point I'm making is but I always bring it home. The point
same here. I get it.
Is that when we look at the level for which we're working at, in terms of Dylan's New Nightmare, and I mean no disrespect to anybody who's putting a fan film together. It's a lot of hard work, but there are levels to the fan film genre, and that is largely because of your experience level. It could be largely because of your resources. It could largely be because of who you are, and this is a movie we're making. Now, it's a short film, right? It's going to be 25, 30 minutes long, but it's a movie. When you watch it, it's going to have a level of professional production value that could be on Netflix. It's that kind of thing. So it wouldn't feel right, to go and then remove myself from this project. I see myself as this Freddy. I see myself committed to this. And if this is successful, and there's more coming down the pipe, I mean, I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be everybody's Freddy. I want to be this Freddy because it also aligns you in a position. There's a level of authenticity and credibility to it that could elevate it to the next level, and maybe even me as the character to the next level. Now, who knows, right? You never say never. I mean, there's that may not happen, but of course, it's always putting yourself into the best positions possible as a professional. So, so no, there's no worry that I would go off and.
Look, it may never happen, but there's nothing wrong with putting it out into the universe, that you're open to it.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So let's see here. Fan Films of the Future says Kristopher Ruggiero. I agree. I want to see Freddy, not Robert or Dave. Exactly. I think that's what Dave is going for. Ryan asks, will there be any stunt performers involved? No need for stunt performers in this episode. Perhaps in the future, though. We shall see. Ryan
That's right,
Kinney?
the one when Freddy falls off the Empire State Building. Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yep, the King Kong of it all.
Right.
It would be
Hell
cool
of a
if you
dream.
it would be cool if you were in the movie having Freddy nightmares, and that's where you were getting script ideas from. Yeah, I can't make myself Wes Craven. I'd get so much shit for that, and I wouldn't even want to tread on that. Like, I am nowhere near that guy, as much as I absolutely respect and love his work. All right. DMT, there should be a scene where Dylan is looking in the mirror, the reflection smiles back at him, he gets scared, and then the reflection transforms into Freddy, and then he pulls Dylan through the mirror. I mean, that would be a pretty effects-heavy thing, but we've got cool things coming, don't you worry. Think of Freddy like a spirit, and I have faith that Dave can channel him. I agree, Gamer. It would be great to have DNN Freddy figure. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? If someone ended up putting out a figure, yeah, that'd be freaking dope.
Probably like 3D printing or something.
Yeah. Vince is awesome. Only person I've seen out-talk Dave. That's funny.
Vince is great. Vince was so. Oh yeah, he was going. But you see, that was the idea, right? I mean, I wanted to let him go. I could have interrupted him, and talked more, but I wanted him to. It's an interview, and I wanted him. He was just on fire. So I was like, dude, you're here to promote your movie. Go to town. So yeah, he's great. I love Vince.
Yeah, Vince definitely knows his way around a microphone. The girl's ass at the beginning of the shower scene asks, where has Freddy been during these 20 plus years? Well, we do have a video on the channel that says Dylan's New Nightmare, the story so far. I talk for, I think, about 15 minutes about what happened in between Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Dylan's New Nightmare. So if you want, you can go and check that out, and I do answer that question. But the long and short of it is, when everything blew up at the end of Dylan's New Nightmare, when Freddy blew up, what we didn't see is that before Heather and Dylan got away, Freddy's essence flew into Miko's head just before they escaped. So he's been laying dormant inside Dylan's mind, feeding on all the nightmares that he has over the course of that 20 years, regaining strength. And now, 25 years later, he's finally strong enough to try and do something. That's the conceit there. Let's see. Okay. Is it a short film or a series? I mean, it's a short film that's intended to be the first part of a series. That's the easiest way to explain it. Toronto Freddy, what's up? Okay. Did you guys know Rachel from Halloween 4 auditioned to play Alice in Nightmare 4 but didn't get the part? I did not know that. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. Mikey says, fan films are great things for studies, companies to view/use to get an idea of someone's work quality. So it's a great quote-unquote promo tool, so to speak. I agree. It can be. It can be, fan films can be calling cards, business cards nowadays.
Well, 100%. And because of the level of professionalism that is now being implemented, because of the resources that independent filmmakers are accessing, I mean, it's a fan film in category only. It's certainly not it's a film. It's a movie.
Indeed. Oliviax, Olive, otherwise, just sent in a nice $10 super chat. Hey, just got home from work, missed the beginning. Curious if there's a final girl in mind. No final girl, because it's really kind of a final boy. Dylan is going to be our main character. So no final girl, so to speak. At least not yet. Who knows what might happen down the line. Toronto
Maybe
Freddy
Dylan meets a girlfriend or something.
Hey, we have ideas for a girlfriend in another part. Don't you worry about that. So excited for this. Dave, my fellow Torontonian representing the K, man, says Toronto Freddy.
Oh yeah, Toronto Freddy, Aaron. That's right. Hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah, it's so funny. When I was at the world premiere of Halloween 2018, Aaron was there dressed up as Michael Myers, and I didn't even know it.
Oh, that's too funny.
And he saw me. Yeah, I apparently walked right by him.
That was out when I met you, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't go to the premiere here. That was in Toronto that you did it?
That was in Toronto, the world premiere, which was at TIFF.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's right. Okay. Cecil, what made you fall in love with creature features? Little side question there. I think the long and short of it is I just was deeply frightened by anything that could eat me. Started with Jaws and then Tremors and then, any creature that could literally chase me down quadrupedal or more and eat me really fucking scares me. I don't like bipedal creature movies very much. Like bipedal creatures, humanoid creatures. The Descent, I don't like the creatures very much, although the movie's great because it's humanoid to humanoid. But if it's a big creature that can eat you, that's what scares me. Ryan Andrew Allen asks, with DNN success, would either of you pursue an original short or feature? I have 3 full-length feature scripts, one of which could be made for probably 50 grand, and then the other of which could be made for probably $500,000 that is my own slasher that I've created. I actually have stuff working in the background. I'm trying to get a graphic novel made of my slasher script, so I can maybe get it out there in another form in the meantime. But yeah, I do have plans for other film stuff. What about you, Dave?
Oh yeah, I have several scripts stored away on a folder, and of course I have a feature film that I've been plugging away at every so often over the last 20 years. It's called Port Robinson Road, and it's based on a series of true events that happened to me during my second year of college years ago. And but it's something that would it's at least $500,000 picture. So it's not something you can just kind of go out and do. But it's if I were to only make one feature length movie in my life, that's the one I would want to be in. It's a personal piece, obviously, but it's like a supernatural thriller. So
nice. Ooh,
based on true events.
Ooh. You've had some experiences.
I do.
Ryan Kinney, no stunts? You mean you're not going to set Dave on fire? Not in this part. Not in this part. Maybe next part.
Maybe.
Let's see. Robert Duel bounced. Terrell Sims, I'd love to see a Freddy Godzilla-esque scene. By the way, it's Terrell. Oh, Terrell. Okay, thank you, Terrell. Sorry about the mispronunciation there. A Godzilla-esque Freddy scene. I mean, that might be kind of tough to pull off. Freddy versus Five Nights at Freddy's. That might be kind of hard to do as well. Dylan has a daughter. Maybe, says Mikey Mnemonic. Maybe. Maybe not, though.
Maybe.
Toronto Freddy, I had the Halloween theme playing from my Bluetooth speaker. Good for you. Sorry. How much longer do us humans have? That's not a question any of us can answer. And then David Carr, last question here. It looks like Cecil, no rush whatsoever, but do you have a time range when the Rex stuffed animal perk will be out? No rush, just curious. As I mentioned towards the beginning, David, all of the Rexes are going to be made in China, so that is kind of on hold until all of this situation gets figured out, the corona situation. So I don't know when that's going to be done, unfortunately. And they have to make bulk orders. So I think I have to order like 1,000 of them. So they'd have to make 1,000 and ship them. So it might take a bit, but trust me, we're working on them. And then I like to eat sharks and gators and things that could eat me. Yeah, well, that might help fix things if I could eat them. But as is, all I'm planning on doing is going on a shark diving journey at some point. So we have covered all the questions, you guys. Thank you very much for your inquiries regarding Dylan's New Nightmare. Again, we will keep everyone updated as things move forward, and I'll let everyone know once we have a new set of shooting dates and keep everyone abreast of the situation as we move along. Thank you, Corey Novak, for the $10 super chat. What's up, good sir? Appreciate that. We are just finishing up here. We've been going for about an hour and 45 minutes, so Thank you very much, Dave, for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. This is always fun to do this. Thanks for having me on. I love talking shop and especially talking about this project because it's really exciting. I just can't wait till things start to, open up again and we can get rolling.
Indeed. And maybe when we get you in costume and makeup, we'll take a discreet shot for social media where we're not revealing too much, but
yeah, maybe there's something. Maybe a little shadow, a little hat over the face,
right?
Light and shadow.
A little bit of the glove. Cool. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you guys very much for joining us. Thank you, Dave, for joining me. We appreciate all of your guys' enthusiasm for the project. We definitely want to make it as good a project as we possibly can. So stay tuned for updates going forward. Again, you can follow us. I don't know if you can still follow the project on Indiegogo. If so, check it out. Otherwise, just subscribe here. I'll be doing updates on this channel, obviously, going forward as well. So thank you guys very much. I've been Cecil Laird. I've been joined by Dave McRae, whose channel is in the description box. If you want to go subscribe to him, he does Dave McRae Live 3 days a week, right?
I do. Yeah, I have. I do a little podcast on my show called Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. It's usually Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. This weekend, it'll be Sunday night because my co-host Tony has a few things he needs to do. So we're doing it Sunday night at 7 p.m. We're watching Halloween H2O. So you might want to tune in for that one. And then, yeah, I have a little show called McRae Live. I do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, just talking movies. I have a topic that I like to talk about. Then I always go to the chat room. And then I'm often uploading standalone videos from time to time as well. Just it's always about movies and Halloween and shit and things like that.
And one day we're gonna get that new Nightmare showing going. Yeah, I'm excited to do that too.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That'd be tons of fun.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you again very much. I appreciate it. And until next time, remember, stay scared.